everybody. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Welcome to the Whiskey Lifestyles Women in Whiskey series. I am Rashawn Hall. That's Silent Bob over there, both over there and over on the other side there. So we are here this week with another episode. This week is going to be a fun one. I'm sure the language will be very interesting, so prepare yourselves. We are introducing this week a good friend of mine who I met through the fellow that tastes like repeat, Jessica Ann Atkins. Jessica Ann, how are you? Or Jess, as I call you.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I know I met you obviously through Barrel Picks. You're, what I think everyone in the affection calls you the Queen of Louisville. So, but tell folks what you do on your 9 to 5, and then we'll get into how your love of bourbon and all things Louisville and in Kentucky.
Yeah. So yes, on Instagram or in like the social media world, it's Jess Ann, aka Bourbon Insider. But in the professional world, I am a barrel broker of empty barrels. I work for H&A Barrel Management. We're a barrel leasing company. We lease new cooperage and liquid. And then at the end of the leasing, the management cycle, we pick those barrels up and resell them. And my job is to resell the barrels. So we're a French-owned company, 55% of the market in France. So a lot of the barrels that I'm selling are like your ports, your sherries, your Sauternes, your cognac, like any kind of like fun, different barrels you're going to find, and then sell them to the whiskey world for finishing.
Okay. So that is obviously what you currently do. Is that how that obviously wasn't your first introduction into whiskey. You are from Kentucky. You were Kentucky born and bred. Tell us about how you got into whiskey and then how that translated into the professional world of being a barrel broker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm 33. So it's been a journey. Up in Kentucky, my dad was like, you have an ear infection, drink whiskey. Your throat hurts, drink whiskey. I actually legitimately thought that whiskey was like medicine. So no problem drinking it. Too much so. I was in high school and I got like when you almost die on alcohol. Like I did that when I was 15 at home on Jim Beam. And I never drank another drop of alcohol at all until I was 25. So my freshman year until I was 25 years old, I couldn't even smell alcohol. I'm like, bleh. But my former husband at the time was a bourbon collector. He freaking loved bourbon. He would have this was like 2012, drug me along on like the tours, and he like, can I have your whiskey? And so I was around it a lot. I was like immersed in it. I loved the tours. Like when we go on the tours, I was like, just as a consumer, just like I loved the tourism side. I'm like, I grew up here, and like this is like 5 minutes from my house. Maker's Mark is 5 minutes like from where I grew up, and I'm like, what? Yeah. So anyway, was a social worker for a long time. My degree's in social work. I was a licensed social worker for hospital. So I was coordinating discharges, worked a derby event where I was like for the Bourbon Brotherhood, like serving drinks. I was bartending. And there was like a bourbon tour package that was being given out. And I was like, I want to take a bourbon tour. I want to like sign my husband up for a bourbon tour. I want to like go. And so then I saw that company was hiring for a bourbon tour coordinator. This was Pegasus Distilled. And I was like, what? I could coordinate bourbon tours. Like I coordinate shit. So yeah, I got a job coordinating bourbon tours. I did 100,000 people in 2 years, full time. Wow. Private people coming. I'm like, where do you want to go? It's a lot of work. Like, and people are like, where should we go? And I'm like, God, where have you been? What do you like? Where have you not? Like, who is with you? It's like a lot of work. So I did that for 2 years, and then started working for Fred Minnick, bourbon critic, author.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
I don't assume people have. I really don't. Like, yes. You heard of him? You should if you don't. I thought he would be a part-time job. And it was like real full-time, real fast. Yeah. And so he worked for him as his boss. Assistant, whatever. Worked for him. We did a lot of just everything, like the Bourbon Beyond Festival. He had a bourbon tasting app at the time coming out. Like, my gosh, he was writing another book. That man literally does everything. And then he's the one who one day I was in my office, was like, a recruiter reached out to me for this like particular job. This was in December of 2019. And I'm like, cool. I'm like working. And he's like, I really think you should apply. And I'm like, are you fucking trying to fire me right now, bro? Like, because we were fighting a lot. Like, we both had very strong personalities. Okay. So I'm not leaving you, Fred. Like, I'm committed. I'm here. And he was like, no. they can offer you, like, you'll just be like entertaining people and connecting people. They can offer you benefits and health insurance and travel. And I see how hard you work with your kids. I know how much like you love this industry, and it's like things I could never provide you as a single employer. And I really think you should look into it. Yeah. And so I was not qualified for the job I applied for. We're barrel leasing. So it's like they wanted the banker who's a bourbon nerd, which is my coworker now, Matt Jess. He was a former banker, and he was actually Fred's banker. We met. So anyway, I didn't know he was Fred's banker until we were both hired. So I applied, and they actually created a position just for me because they were only going to hire one person. But they were like, you know what? Instead of like finance, because I'm not doing finance, I'm a social worker. I do money. With your connections and your love for the industry, like we just want you to purely just sell finishing barrels because it's never been done with our company from our barrels. And so I'm like, sure. So it took, my first interview was in January of 2020, COVID. My first day was July 1st, 2020.
Wow.
So yeah.
So that was a 7-year trial by fire. I mean, from doing tours to Fred Minnick, who is, just again, as she said, if you don't know who he is like the godfather of bourbon writing. He is the OG of OGs. To brokering barrels, like that is quite a journey in 7 years for someone who, like you said, wasn't drinking bourbon until a couple years ago. What is, you said that going through those tours, what was it about that first experience, or if you have a memorable moment from an experience of like, this is the game changer, this is the thing I want
to do? Wes Henderson.
Okay.
I owe Wes Henderson, who founded Angel's Envy, my entire everything. So back to my former husband, God love him. We were such good friends, just not good married. So we have a great co-parenting relationship. When Angel's Envy Rye came out, I don't even know what fucking year it was. I'm not that much of a bourbon nerd. He knew that 6 bottles. I've just like been surrounded by it. I was like, I have no choice. There were 6 bottles that came out in Elizabethtown where we lived, and him and his friend were like, God, what year was this? 2017, maybe. Him and his friend was like, we're gonna go get them, and they did. They got all 6 bottles, and I'm like, that's $600. Like, stop it. Stop doing that. Like, I didn't make money then. I was like 23, and so I like hated Angel's Envy. So I actually, that was like the year I was getting a divorce, and I was like, I'm like an introvert by nature. Like I love people. I just like stay home. So my friends were like, we're going out. You're coming with us. They broke into my house. They took me to Louisville. We went to Merle's Whiskey Kitchen, and she's like, my boyfriend's in a band, and it was Tyler Childers' band. This is like way back when. And she was dating like the drummer. She's like, we're at the Angels table, and there's a guy here. It's Wes Henderson. And like, this is his table, so be nice to him. Well, I fucking Wes, because I was like, Wes Henderson, I know who that guy is. So like, everyone's like sucking up to him about bourbon. And I'm like, what else do you do, bro? Like, besides, like, what else do you do? And he was like, now he's a death investigator. And back then he was like a firefighter or something. Like he was like, he worked for the fire department. And I'm like, that's cool. And I like really got to know Wes. Well, then he hands me a glass of Angel's Envy. Mind you, I can't even smell whiskey without wanting to fucking throw up. Like I died on Jim Beam, like 15 shots in an hour. I'm not kidding. Like 2 days before Halloween, I died. Like I was, that is not good parenting. I never want to drink again, like ever. And so, but here the owner is of this company. He's cool. I know he's like the maker. And so he like hands me a glass of Angel's Envy. He's like, here. And he had got the whole bar. He got behind the bar. Everyone was getting shots of Angel's Envy Rye. And I was like, well, I guess I have to drink it. And so I drink it. I'm like, oh, okay. And that was the first time I've ever been like buzzed on the Kentucky Hug. I didn't. So like now Angel's Envy is like the gateway, it's like the gateway bourbon. Yeah. And then after that, I loved it. I actually wanted to work for Angels. Many years ago interviewed, and they was down to me and another guy from my hometown, and he got it and lasted 2 months. Now he's like not even in the industry, but they're my favorite. And it's Wes Henderson that did it because he was partying and giving everyone free whiskey. And that's why I'm here today.
There you go. The Kentucky Hug always helps. And for those of you who don't know, the Kentucky Hug is that first sip of whiskey you have, that warm feeling you get. Wes Henderson, former CEO of Angel's Envy. I did not know he retired. I thought he retired to just like live the life, not be a death investigator. So that is a very interesting thing.
He's been doing the death investigation thing for several years.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still very much has, he's still around, but
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so when someone is getting so many questions. No, I'm just gonna no, I love it, and this is why I knew it would be fun. I just knew I just let you go, and you would have amazing things to say. So the barrel picking part of it, where you are, I mean, obviously, like I said, we met through Taste Select Repeat, which is a great online store. OJ and I have known each other for many years, and that's how you and I met. So how did you get into like becoming that person when the barrel pickers come into town? You are the person they hit up.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm the person.
I mean, you are the insider, hence the IG.
Yeah, it's just so I've always been on social media. I was a surrogate back in my previous life for a family in Norway, and so I blogged and did that kind of thing. So I had 1,000 followers from my surrogacy journey. I would say on Facebook and Instagram. Never used it for whiskey. In fact, everyone in my hometown is against alcohol, and so people if I were to post too much bourbon at the time, I would lose all my friends, which I did. So when I started working for Fred, I wanted people to like him, and it was people are so polarizing about him. And I'm if I could see him how I see him, and he wasn't real clear on his brand because Fred does everything, and so I started using my Instagram just to document the journey with Fred. And yeah, I guess it was just through him that, and all his friends that he talks to, all these people who come to his events, that I started to meet the community that was actually behind. I've always been on the tourism side, or I'm on the brand development side. I'm never the bourbon fan side. So it was all the people who genuinely just drink bourbon and to like it, to talk about it. It was oh, these are really cool guys. And so anytime they would come to town to meet him, I'd hang out, and it just it just naturally happened. I guess people wanted to get to Fred, and they knew I was the way in, and then they realized I was cooler than him.
There you go. So when you make that first, I mean, obviously you've done so many picks. What is the when you go into a pick, we taste it through the Elijah Craig Alpha Barrel, which I should go grab, but my bottle is very empty, or very close to empty. What is that like? What's that process for you? How what is your pick process when you're tasting with a group?
Right. Okay. So pick wise, flavor profile wise, I've never been the person who's I have the best flavor, I have the best palate. I have this, I have that. I have realized over the last year and a half that I've been picking more, actually paying attention that oh, you develop a palate. So I used to go on all Fred's picks with him. I'd write down his notes. I would just taste to taste. And my main reason as his assistant was for me to taste and see what he was going to pick. So when it came time for me to order for him, or get products in front of them, a lot of people would want their product in front of him. I wanted them, Pinhook, for example. I went and tried their 2-year rye. They wanted to give it to Fred, and I'm oh, Fred's gonna kind of tear this down. Not that it's not good, but it was more of a cocktail mixer. And I'm I was what else do you have? And at the time, he had sourced an MGP 14-year, has the turquoise label, and I tried it. And oh my god, it was it was one of those bourbons that made me happy. I'm Fred will love this, and therefore he'll give this brand a shot. So I went and bought it with my own money at the time, so I didn't have the company card on me. And I was I'm taking this bottle back. And when it came time to taste it, Fred loved it. He raved about it. The 2-year, he was it's a mixer rye, which is what it was intended to be. And so they were able to form a friendship. Anyway, all that to say is I don't know nowadays. I haven't worked with Fred on picks in 2 years, but I would only specifically studied what he liked so I could match that. And nowadays I don't pick out notes and stuff. I just what you like you like. And what I do know is that the longer people sit and linger and they're just talking, that is such enjoy your barrel pick time, savor it. But it doesn't take that long. Smell, taste, let it set, let it open up, then go back through. So I'm pretty quick. I think the more you drink, the more you overthink, the less you listen to your gut. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's all good. You're not going to pick a bad barrel. So it's
true.
It's
very true.
More about the experience.
Okay. So as I said, every time the times I've been in Louisville, we've always had a great time. You obviously know the city very well. What is, friends who are going down there, someone's going to go there for the first trip. What are 3 things you say? All right, you're hitting Louisville, do these 3 things. And then let's put aside distilleries. I'm not going to make you pick your favorite children.
Besides 3
right. Okay, well, okay, but are there certain?
Yes, let me give you. Yeah. Okay, let me get. I got you.
Okay.
Strictly speaking, in the city of Louisville, right?
Yeah.
How many people?
Let's say 2 people.
Oh, a guy.
I mean, let's say 4 then. If it's easier to do a bigger, let's say 4 people.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say, okay, no Pacific order because I want to get into itineraries. But you should definitely hit up Cave Soul Cemetery for lunch and a walk because, like, you have Colonel Sanders, you have all these like famous distillers that are buried there, and it's a beautiful cemetery, which I know sounds weird. Super fucking beautiful. Muhammad Ali is buried there. Lots of like culture. You can have a picnic. That's a fun like break, but also historic. North of Bourbon, I really like them right now because they have a good staff. It's like a speakeasy bar that used to be Mr. Lee's. It's in Germantown, but they have like New Orleans style food. Super great, like for picks and stuff. Downtown distilleries. If I'm like Peerless, Copper and Kings has a really nice bar upstairs. If you can get into Angel's Envy, of course. Then I've got Evan Williams. I don't know, everything.
Everything. Okay, everything. Just everything. And also just DM Jess and hopefully she'll get back to you.
No, I won't.
Okay, she will not get back to you.
Actually, it's like there's so much to do. This is like really such a lovely city that it is like super. I'm just expounding off everything that I love, but it really, in order to get a good experience, like it's like, what do you want when you come here? Like, what's your intention?
That's yeah, and that's the thing. Every time I feel like every time I've been there, I've had a different experience with either gone with different people or and every experience has been great. It's just like everything has been
Yeah.
So when people ask me, I'm like, I can give you a laundry list. Like, to your point, focus on what are the 3 things you want to hit. What are the 3 things you love? What's the bourbon that you love? And then focus on that and then work out from there. So.
Exactly. Always say walk the Big 4 bridge. It's a mile walk to Indiana. Go to the cigar bar. Have a shot on the river. Like, I'm always like, walk. Be healthy because you're going to be drinking. Okay, if you don't do some kind of form of physical activity here, you're going to die.
Yeah. Because otherwise, you just be eating fried chicken all day and drinking whiskey. So what? So one of the questions that we have asking everyone in this series is, this kind of definition of women in whiskey, and that gets good. Some people like it, some people don't. As someone who is in the Louisville area, connected to all these people, obviously, having done these barrel picks I've done with you, it's like all guys and you. So obviously there are not as many women as you think. There are more and more. What do you think of that term? What do you think of when people talk about women in whiskey?
I think the whiskey industry embraces women to the fullest. Everyone, like personally to me, everyone has been like a big brother or like a friend, super respectful and like inclusive. When I worked for Fred, he wrote Women in Whiskey in 2009. And so I felt like where I see like negative effects, it's like corporate level, like that kind of thing. But when it comes to like actually women in whiskey, I don't know. I like don't know a lot of women. Like I feel like it's like even almost like I feel like I have a lot of friends in whiskey just like men. I think it's a niche, like a small group of people, like any kind of culture. Like people are in it or they're not. Like I think it's great to be a woman in whiskey. I think it's great.
Yeah. Okay. So converssally, when you're not doing that, what is or are you never not doing that? Okay. I always ask people what their downtime is, but I feel like knowing you, it's always that.
I have 2 children. I have them 50% of the time. So the times that I have them, my entire world is focused on mom life. Like we're doing like sports. Like my son is 11, almost 12. My daughter's 10. Very much involved in all the other things outside of bourbon. And then when I have the other 50% of the time, I don't like whiskey is my life. You guys are my friends. You're my life. Like I've tried to like do the dating apps, when like I have them, I just like never answer them because it's like, am I really gonna go hang out with somebody? I don't need to eat any more dinners. I don't need to drink any more drinks. Like, are these guys making me money? Are we doing anything? Like, it is my life. I love it. I have a great life.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So then final question we ask everyone, if you could have a pour of whiskey or whatever that lovely cocktail you're having right now someone, what is that?
Sorry.
Okay. Dead or alive, you could have a pour with someone. Who would that be and why?
Oh, I, outside of the whiskey industry, want to drink whiskey with Oprah Winfrey. She is my damn idol. I love that woman so much. And I just want to like drink with her. I don't care what we're drinking, but like a bourbon of some sort.
That is a perfect answer. Would be I've never thought about that, but I feel like that would be an amazing experience if you got it just drunk enough. It's a nice check, just blank check.
Tell me like Oprah knows everyone. She is set under every single human being. I have loved Oprah since forever because I only used to have like 10 channels and she was on one of them. So I would bring Oprah bourbon.
Awesome. Well, Jess, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. You are always fun to talk to, so thank you.